Hi Aries, welcome to your end of March 2019 tarot update. It's Raina here. Happy birthday to those of you who are born at the end of March. March is one of my favorite months. It really is. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate. There's just something special about it. And of course I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, so it's like the first days of spring, you know, there's something magical about that. Okay, I'm picking an additional card because of the outcome card. Okay. All right. So you got a lot of major arcana cards here. And by a lot, I mean, you know, out of the total number, I only picked 7 cards. And I have 4 major arcana. Which makes sense because, you know, it's your solar return. So this is ramping up that energy. Just hit my thingy. So the heart of the matter is the Judgment card. And the Judgment card to me is the chickens coming home to roost, like everything coming to a head, all right? And it can be like, you know, I think this card is connected to Pluto. So if you think of Pluto as being this agent that brings up all of the gunk that's below the surface, up to the surface to purify, that's kind of what this can mean. It's also a card of rebirth. So it can either be karmic justice in some way, or it can be a sense of rebirth, or both. You know, like let's say you're waiting for your divorce decree to come in, or some other kind of a legal judgment, and it comes in and you feel like everything has been totally you know, what do they say when they say like the door is closing on that chapter of your life? And I actually did get the World card when I picked an additional card, which is really about tying up those loose ends and things like that. But the rebirth of like, now I can move on with my life. If there was some kind of a legal situation that consumed you, this could have been like a lawsuit, you know, or a, yeah, anything like that, an inheritance issue, and then it's like, okay, now I can move on with my life. This one area has been really bugging me. And in the past position, we have the Page of Swords, and this is like, you may have felt kind of like you were on edge. This to me is like the card of the spy, or somebody who's being very vigilant, but there is like, it's like being on high alert to me. So that can be good. I mean, you may, it's kind of like too with judgment, excuse me, maybe you've had to learn to have more judgment in your life because in the past you've trusted the wrong people. And so now maybe you're going the other way where you're being like super vigilant. And you might even be wondering, am I paranoid because I'm so wary about situations? But it's important as part of the growth process for you for whatever reason. So don't question it. Don't worry about it. It's all good. And you're moving on now. The other thing too is that could have been you ferreting out information. And if this is a workplace situation, that judgment could have been with something, a lawsuit at work. Maybe you were getting screwed over. And the higher message, which is great, is the 9 of Cups, which is the wish fulfillment card. So maybe it was touch and go and you weren't sure that this was all going to come go your way, but it did. And that was very important. That was a very important thing to happen, because now you feel you can breathe easily or easier, and there is this sense perhaps that finally you're getting what you want, and the accompanying feeling of satisfaction that comes with that. That's why it's accompanying it, right? A little redundancy there. What crosses you is represented by the Magician card. And you know what? I just found out, Aries, that this card connects to you too. Because, you are the first house. So when I saw the number 1 before, I was a little bit taken aback that it was associated with Gemini. And that is because it's associated with Mercury. So it's really associated with Mercury. I don't know why that is. I mean, the Magician Magus... I think I was reading about that. I don't know if it has something to do with the trickster energy. I'll have to find out what that connection is with Mercury, unless it's just thought power. But I did find out it's associated with Aries, and I really think there is that strong correlation, or it belongs with Aries, because the Magician card, it's not just about hocus pocus. This is one of the reasons why I was always kind of turned off by the term magic when it related to spiritual things, because I felt like, people doing those incantations and all that stuff, and I'm not into that, spells and all that stuff. But when I found out that there is such a thing as practical magic or alchemy, where you are taking your life and you're making, even if you don't like what's going on in your life, it's not just about making lemonade out of lemons, but it's really about taking those lemons and turning it into gold, turning it into something amazing. And the more, the lower you start off, the lower you come from, and the higher you rise, the more magical it is, because the more you are transforming yourself. But just the idea that you can transform your life is so important. So many times when people get beaten down by life, they think where I am right now is where I'm going to be in the future, and that is really a bad way to think. I mean, bad is not a good word. That's not a helpful way to think, and that will lead to not even trying to change things. And so usually Aries people know this inherently. So because I'm getting the Magician in the challenged, I always don't know if I should say challenging position, it suggests to me that a fair number of Aries may question their abilities these days. Why would that be? Well, there is a lot going on with Capricorn. Okay, so Capricorn is your 10th house of career. We have Saturn in that house, which is actually good for a placement, a transit in the 10th. I'm not saying that it really is good for that. But then you also have the South Node, which is karmic, a karmic situation or situations that may arise in the next couple of years, and that may be very tempting to go towards because they feel so familiar. But it really isn't. It's really not for you because you've already been there, done that. So you got that, and then you have Pluto, So you also have had Uranus in your sign, and Uranus just left your sign. But that doesn't mean, just because Uranus has left your sign, doesn't mean that you are just like, everything is perfect. You know what I mean? You may still be reeling from all the changes that came your way, all the curveballs that were thrown your way. Maybe some things were good, but some things may have been challenging. I mean, that's just the way life is. The other thing I want to say is that now Chiron is in Aries. So that can definitely affect you in terms of your ability to feel like you can create your own life, because the Magician is really a card of the self, is self-empowerment. And Chiron, in conjunction with your sun sign, if you're watching this for your sun sign, can really feel like it's threatening your image, like you're feeling like an open wound when it comes to how you feel about yourself. So I would say that it's important to acknowledge if you've had tough times in the past, and not to sugarcoat it either, but to realize that this too shall pass, and it has passed. I mean, for the most part. And even with Chiron, I mean, there is so much opportunity for healing when you have Chiron. It's not this bad luck. I mean, that's what I want to impart upon people when it comes to transits. It's not about bad luck. It's about you realizing that you are the magician, you know, and not treating it as luck. Usually, Aries people, I don't have to tell that to. What's coming in is represented by the Devil card. This is connected to the sign of Capricorn, but Satan, Saturn. You see that connection there? So we could say, you know, maybe this is a timing card. Because I don't look at these cards as being necessarily just for the near future of the next couple of weeks. These could be longer term kinds of things. And if we look at that with the Devil card and Saturn and Capricorn, be careful even as you go on in your life, and you may be experiencing some really nice, sweet gifts from the universe with the Nine of Cups, but be careful of temptation. You know, lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. You know, do God's will in whatever your future endeavors are. Maybe you have won a judgment, but even if you feel, because the Nine of Cups can be kind of feeling kind of smug, even if you feel like, hey, I did this, don't be arrogant about it, because you know, pride goes before the fall. We have to, and I'm talking about unhealthy pride. Don't be seduced, because I think the Devil can represent seduction, into any kind of feeling as if you are totally without fault in life because something went your way. And I'm speaking as a Sagittarian, and all fire signs, we have a certain arrogance about us, don't we? We tend to like be very connected to our self, you know, with a in big letters. And this makes us kind of cocky sometimes. Even those of us who feel very insecure, you know, we can go from one extreme to the other, of feeling like pathologically insecure to feeling very cocky. And it can be quite a mind F, because it's very hard to find that balance when you do that. But if you have if you've kind of like pwned somebody, if you've owned them legally or otherwise, you may feel like, hey, you know, I'm going to gloat, I'm going to, you know, whatever. No, be the bigger person. Don't give in to that type of temptation. The outcome is the Five of Wands. I always like pick another card for a card like this one. The Five of Wands is getting into the fray. Now, if you're still in the same workplace and you just have won a judgment about something, maybe money that was owed to you, back pay or whatever, you may find that there is a lot of drama that has been stirred up, and you better be prepared for it. I was going to say unfortunately, but maybe it's fortunately, Aries is loaded for bear. You're the type of person that maybe you love drama, and you have to be careful of that, because it's not for you. I always say, know the difference between passion and drama. Passion is what fire signs want, and we come to life with a sense of wanting a lot of zest to life. We want to feel enthusiastic about what we do, okay, every day. And so that is a good thing. I'm not suggesting that that's a bad thing. That's a great thing. But the problem is, you don't want to, if you're not happy where you are in a job, if it's boring you, because, you know, there's nothing worse than a bored Aries, or maybe possibly a bored Gemini person, but there's nothing Nothing worse than that. And the key is not to start making trouble when you're bored. I know you know what I'm talking about, Aries. That you start to go, okay, maybe I'll mess with this person because I'm feeling a little bit ornery, you know, because I'm not happy where I am, so I'm going to do this. So look at your workplace. If it's a dog-eat-dog environment, that's what I see as the Five of Wands. Really, I mean, this could be healthy competition for sure, but given the context of some of these other cards, I'm thinking that you're going to realize that this environment is not healthy. And one thing I want to say with the Magician in the challenge position, the Magician is about self-empowerment and resourcefulness. So sometimes I get people who write to me and they say, you know, I can't find a job, or sometimes I just read it on other videos, and I'm so opinionated that I'll say, hire yourself. Create your own job. That might be what the Magician in the challenge position is saying, is that Aries needs to, if you're working for somebody else, maybe you need to work for yourself. Aries is a sign that doesn't really work well for somebody else. Let's get real here. You're a cardinal sign, and you're also a fire sign. And you're, you know, fire energy is very independent, and you know, it doesn't, and it's very creative. So we don't need people to tell us how to think and what to do in terms of, you know, if there's some kind of a project. We're pretty good at figuring things out. So don't just like assume that you can't create your own business. It doesn't have to be anything, you know, grandiose either. And it just depends on how unhappy you are in your current situation, because competition is, to me, not a good thing. I know they say there's a thing as healthy competition. I think the only healthy competition is with yourself, bettering your past results, you know, your personal best, and going beyond that, but not to compete against others. I think that creates a lot of ill will ultimately, and it's unsettling, you know. At least, you know, that's just my take on it. So I drew an additional card, and I got the World card, and yes, this suggests that you may be wrapping things up where you are right now, that this is the end of an era with whatever this is going on. And you know, if this is like a personal relationship, maybe you've just gotten divorced and you feel a sense of like, you know, I don't know if it's smugness as much as just you are enjoying your freedom, and you still have to watch out for lust, because Aries is to me a very lusty sign. And now that if you are somebody who was legally married and now you're emancipated from a bad marriage, and you're just like, the temptation is just to just go like a kid in a candy store and just start to, I was going to say sleep around. It's not because, oh, it's immoral to sleep around. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with allowing yourself time to process what you've been through before you go back into that, jump back into the fray. Because this could be like very hot and heavy, almost like a meat market situation. I don't know, do they have singles bars anymore? But that kind of environment where it's like trying to compete with other people to, you know, have a partner, instead of like learning more about yourself. If you've been through a long relationship, perhaps, and now you're free, well, be free, you know, and totally free, not encumbered in any way, and not obligated to anyone, because you may think you're having fun, and the other person thinks that you're going to propose to them or marry them, because you're not coming from the same place. And plus it just complicates your life. So anyway, I'm trying to cover all the bases here. I hope that you enjoyed this, Aries. And if you would like a personal reading, actually, if you are somebody who would like a reading for your next year as you have your birthday, I'd love to read for you. I do mostly astrology readings using your natal chart in my personal readings. So you can check out the different types of readings that I offer. That is available at rainamoonastrology.com, and the link is below. Have a great rest of your month. Take care. Bye.